Let's look at the Unit 4 project. Here, you're going to use the questions that you already asked in your Unit 4 discussion board. So the examples I gave were who owns a dog, so I'll treat that like my question A. Who drinks milk every day? And who has a brother? So you'll have some responses from our Unit 4 discussion board. You need at least 10 responses. So that means you may have to ask some family, some friends to get your full 10 responses for this project. So say, for example, I asked who owns a dog, and someone said yes. And I asked who drinks milk, and someone said yes. And then who has a brother, but that same person did not say yes. Then what I'd do is I would put their name. So I'd say like person 1 said yes to A and said yes to B. If I asked person 2 and they only said yes to who has a brother, then to help keep myself organized, I'd put their responses in that next row. Then if I ask someone who owns a dog, who drinks milk every day, and who has a brother, and they answered no to all 3 questions, that's when they would go in this rightmost column that says none of these. Once you have those names and at least 10 people in this chart, you can move on to number 3, where you're going to use the results of your survey to make a Venn diagram of the results. You're going to label the circles to tell what they represent, and you're going to write the names in appropriate sections. So for example, my A was who owns a dog, so I would put dog for part A. My part B is who drinks milk every day, so I would say milk. And my part C is who had a brother, so I would say brother. So if I'm looking just at the 3 responses I have, remember you need 10, person 1 said yes to both A and B. So when I'm writing my Venn diagram, I only want each person's name to show up once. So I would look for the overlap between A and B only, and I would write person 1's name there. Person 2 said yes to C only. So if I look at the C, I want someone who said yes to C only, so I would put their name in there. And then person 3 said no to everything, so I still ask them, I need to record it, but they're not in any of those circles. They're just in that rectangle that represents our universal set. Then you'll continue with that with all 10 of your responses. If we look at number 4, we're going to use that same Venn diagram, but this time, instead of names, I'm going to put numbers. So for example, I only had 3 people, but I had 1 person in that overlap between A and B only. I had 1 person in C only, and I had 1 person floating out here. I didn't have anyone in those other spaces, so I would fill that in with zeros. Then in number 5, you're going to use that Venn diagram you built in number 4 to answer these probability questions. You're going to write all probabilities as simplified fractions and as decimals. So for example, if you had a probability where the answer was 1/2, I'd be expecting to see both the answers of 1/2 and 0.5 to earn full credit. If you need to, round your decimals to the nearest hundredth. So read through those questions and make sure you understand them. In number 6, you're going to write 3 questions about probability of your own that are different from those above that could be answered from your Venn diagram. So for example, if we look above, we have the question, what is the probability that a person is in group A? So one of your questions in number 6 that may be different would be, what's the probability that a person is in group B? right? So you're going to have to think through 3 different questions that you could ask that have not already been asked. And then you need to answer those questions. So make sure you write the questions and answer those questions.